Throughout human history, energy has been a key enabler for today's living standards. First, we started with food. It was the only source of energy to produce heat, food, and infrastructures that we knew of. So wood has for a long time been the source of energy, until now. Oil is one of the most used substances in the world, and it has helped us to invent new stuff and move on with our technology. Today, we are gods. For us to understand how oil has affected us as humans and our global economy, we need to go back in time. Oil has been used for a lot longer than we think. We know that the Chinese found oil leaking up from the surface for over 2000 years ago, but it was only used for lighting in houses. In 1859, when Colonel Edwin drilled the first oil well in Pennsylvania and found crude oil, few realized how important this product would become for our society. But it wasn't long after the oil rush got triggered and the major new industry began. The car motor was invented in 1885 and oil was used to fuel it. The demand for motorized cars accelerated, and therefore the demand for oil accelerated as well. Henry Ford was one of the people that pushed the use of fuel by making the first affordable car. The first oil crisis was in 1973, when Arabian oil exporters were one of the biggest oil producers and exporters. But when America supported Israel in the war against Syria, which made them stop the export. This led to gas stations being empty for fuel and the price quadrupled. At this time, getting crude oil was like getting toothpaste out of the tube. In the start, it's really easy, but afterwards you need to work harder and it becomes a lot more difficult to get the rest out of the tube. And then you end up throwing it away. This is how it was with the conventional wells. Only 1/3 of the oil could be extracted from the oil reservoirs, and there were no more crude oil to extract. It was only one solution. After a decade of exploration, crude oil was finally extracted from the North Sea in 1975. This was a very expensive solution, but the high oil prices made it profitable. But as the demand for oil rises, this wasn't enough. M. King Hubbard made a prediction in 1956. He calculated and predicted that the oil production would peak around the 1970s. This was of course not well received, but it turned out to be true. He also calculated that oil production would peak again in the early part of the 21st century. Now we live in a world driven by oil. Experts say that transport, agriculture and the industry is the basic necessity for life, and they say it might come to a halt. This means that we are heading into one of the greatest disasters in the world. There will be chaos, jobs gone, homeless people, gangs, black markets, protests, and war, a society in total chaos. As the oil prices rise, we got three temporary solutions to produce the oil to fit our needs. It is oil sand, oil shale, and coal oil. It's just a few problems. This is only temporary solutions, and these methods needs more refinery than normal raw oil or crude oil. And not only that, it is environmentally challenging, and it's harder to make crude oil out of it, and it's very costly. And therefore the prices for oil rises. But it isn't only the oil prices that go up, because our world is driven by fuel. Transport will cost more, and the products like food will cost more, and everything will be more expensive. Hydrogen and electric cars are some great innovations that can reduce fuel use. Hydrogen cars use hydrogen to make electricity for the wheels to spin, and electric cars uses only electricity from the battery to drive. There's only one big problem. We make hydrogen and electricity from coal because we can't produce enough clean energy. This film is filmed in 2018, and it shows how the oil has affected Nigeria and the people that live there. Not in a good way. Shell was one of the companies that extracted and refined oil there, but they have now left the refineries and moved out. They left everything as it was. Oil is everywhere, and it has made it impossible for the people to
Entire
grow.
town is covered in oil.
When this oil flow here, spoil everywhere, whole way.
So you just threw your net in to catch fish and it's covered in oil now?
When I eat it, it will give for my body.
Hot fire.
Yeah.
Hot fire. You can't sleep. You know if you sleep. And before, when it was not like this, we have fetch fish and get on. As oil, pour everywhere, spoil everywhere. We have nothing to do again.
We are sick and tired of this shit. I feed you, you get fat, you make money, you live large, and you keep me in the poverty stage. It's not possible. This struggle is not about me. It's all about the Niger Delta people. We have kids coming up. The future, we are not looking at the present, we are looking at the future. If this continue, what do you expect from my son? What do you expect from my child?
What kinds of missions does the NDA carry out?
We are had there to stop the operation, blow up the pipelines.
So, to conclude, we can say that oil has done a lot of good things for us. But it's time to stop before it does us more harm than good.